Good late afternoon. How was everyone? Great. All right, well, welcome to the end of week 2 of the 2014 Callaloo Creative Writing Workshop. Hope you all have enjoyed both weeks, and I'd like to start just by thanking the Department of Africana Studies here at Brown University for hosting this event for the 3rd year in a row for 2 weeks. And especially want to thank the chair and professor, Dr. Paget Henry, and Karen Baxter for welcoming our group to campus, and also Deborah Bowen, and a special thanks to Renee Neely and Karen Moyer for coordinating events beforehand and during the week. So their efforts have been pretty tireless, so I think they deserve a special round of applause. All right, and so talking to a few participants this week, I've heard different things about, the workshop. I've heard it was alternately, intense, but also rewarding, right? I heard it was tiring, but inspiring. I can rhyme too, yeah, okay. And I heard it was eye-opening and helpful, but another person said it was like boot camp, so yeah. So more than anything, we hope that you've gotten a chance to, talk with each other, and you've gotten a sense of sort of how rewarding and rare it is to sort of just dedicate 2 weeks to just strictly reading, writing, discussing, critiquing, and we hope you've benefited from that. So let's see, we hope that over the course of the 2 weeks you've seen growth in your own writing and also your reading. We hope you've built friendships, and during this week and over time, we hope that the advice and feedback you've gotten here from fellow participants and workshop leaders helps you get a deeper understanding and more nuanced understanding of who you are as writers within the greater literary world. And I know when I was in school, I would always get advice from my professors, and some I would benefit from immediately. But some other pieces of advice I'd reflect on maybe 5 or 10 years later, and I'd be like, that professor was right, So hopefully you're still, learning from this experience later on down the road. Tonight, of course, we have the grand finale, so we have a select group of readers sharing their work with us. And to start us off, we have some welcoming remarks from Gregory Partlow. So please help me welcome Gregory. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We'll have welcoming remarks from Robbie Howard.
I want to thank the instructors for electing me in my absence to give welcoming remarks. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you to Africana Studies. This is, I think, the longest we've been in one space, so it has become home for Callaloo, and I think it's been a good relationship. So I want to thank everyone here. Also, what Callaloo is and what Callaloo has been is just a sense of bringing fiction writers and poets together on the page and issues, so that becomes something of a conversation. That work is always kind of, those writers will be associated with one another as that issue is printed and goes out into the world. But we know before that happens, before that print process happens, we're doing the same thing here, bringing writers and poets together. So we love to see that sense of community that we try to create on the page, kind of created in the workshop rooms. And we've really seen those conversations that really kind of bring the work to life, help the work grow, and then help the work eventually get onto the page. So we thank you for your efforts here the last 2 weeks. You've made some new connections, so we want you to keep that community going. And we love for this night to just show what people have worked on, and so we can kind of hear the voices and remember the voices when we leave. So thank you, and time for our readers. Thanks.
And my apologies. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our 4 workshop leaders for their hard work this week, so I think they deserve a special round of applause as well. All right, we ask that at this time you silence your cell phones if you haven't already. And we have a mix of poets and fiction writers tonight, and we'll start with a couple of poets. The first one to share her work will be Jennifer Bartell.
This is one of the disadvantages of having a last name starts with B. I'm convinced that that's the reason I'm going first. Anyway, I'm really thankful and blessed to be here with you guys tonight. I've had a wonderful time this past 2 weeks, and I'm excited about what the future holds for all of us. The first poem I'm going to read to you guys is Visitation. He sits in the box. Time comes. Our time looms. A German shepherd sniffed me before I came here. Our souls sprang to life in our mother's womb. He's been here for 4 years. I wait for him to come. There's a mural on one wall of a jumping deer. He sits in the box. Time comes and looms. The deer's eyes pierce mine like none other. He jumps away from the dusk's lair. Our souls sprang to life in our mother's womb, which lies in the comforts of her tomb, and all of my mothering cannot fill her chair. Still he sits in the box. Time comes, our time looms, and he has already eaten his meal of emu and waits for the moment when his ear can hear our souls spring into life in our mother's womb. This burden I hate, and yet I cannot unbear. Our words circular like coiled barbed wire, where he sits in the box. Our time here, yet still looms. Our souls sprung to life in our mother's womb. This second poem is Leaving Chicago. Let me sleep in bed dreaming of disasters. Let me lay a while and wander, wallow in a swamp full of cypress knees that beckons us to forsake this mire full of bullets. We are the mighty cedar of Lebanon, fortifying this bed in times such as these. Up there you hold up a green canopy above my head, but the sky bursts open and pours down rain, sour libations that ensnare our tongues, paralyzes our feet. We missed our chance to be judged in May and instead stomped over to Memphis to try some blue barbecue. We then slid down farther south to whittle names in the cradle of the oak laced with moss. Let me not dream of disasters. Let me not be lonely in the confines of your arms. Let me sleep in bed and let my slumber be restless. Content, let me dream of you before Chicago, before a river, before wind, and drank the black coffee of your mouth. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was beautiful. All right, our second reader will have another poet. Please help me welcome Ching-En Chen.
Thank you, everyone, for welcoming me. Manifesto of Shame. 1. I refuse you, your blank and arrogant face, your armor misread your light body, your dare and follow through, disgraceful pain, compressed bullet. 2. Consider one who won't be named, image shut before become ghost, ghost before life eater. Life eating produced Facebook status. Headline cross passageway, tiny handheld frame, boards plane to USA. No image, no body count. 3, trigger warning. At least 1 year earlier, C tells me of an uncle, white, my emphasis, she has lost. 1991 University of Iowa shooting. A graduate student, Chinese, shoots C's uncle and the other dissertation committee members, all white. Another graduate student, Chinese. The university's grievance officer, white. And Mia, Filipina, a temporary student employee, paralyzed from the neck down. Himself. Joanne Beard's essay surfaces in the 1997 Best American Essays. The university's composition program, where I am enrolled, teaches this essay in the year when C confesses about the killings. 2 films, 2 nonfiction books. I watched Meryl Streep play a wealthy donor, white, obviously, fascinated by culture, Chinese, who tries to connect with the on-screen shooter. I watched the documentary film about the rest of Mia's life, the ostensible lone survivor become disability advocate. 2 films with C, Hold Her, 14 years later. On the plane, hearing about the latest outbreak, I call because she has said that mass shootings trigger. No one answers. 4, I do not belong to this chorus. I sit in the grooves of my fractures, put misshapen gun on table. Nobody sees what takes shape in room, what force drive into place. Demanding coherence, a violent act. 5, I do not want their bones or their bodies. Sung Fei Cho, Kim Gil, One Elgo, Biswanath Holder, James J. Lee, Wade Lowe, Yang Lu, Nadal Malik Hassan, Fu Hong Da, Trevor Lee and Terry Wong. 6, not elegy, but fear song, not praise poem, but a melody of discomfort. What agent causes itchy skin, not rest? Pages and pages of small minutes belong to who kill, who monster march forward to time, illegible. 7, to read the shooter, stabber, not as he desired, white, elite, in all shame, but fierce articles summarize our community's investment in misogyny, Asian American men's reaction to emasculation, to glorify sexual conquest, to expect access, 31 likes, 22 shares. I feel useful, attached to my social media, vigilant against erroneous headlines. 8, I name the ones, some footnotes and predecessors, some spotlights and terrors, deranged enigmas. I am not a victim, but I feel pain. 9, from Murderpedia, Ryan Clark, 22. Emily Hilscher, 19. Manal Panchal, 26. G.V. Laganathan, 53. Jarrett Lane, 22. Brian Bloom, 25. Matthew Gwaltney, 24. Jeremy Herbstritt, 27. Partahi Luana Turn, 34. Daniel O'Neill, 22. Juan Ortiz, 26. Julia Pride, 23. Waleed Shalan, 32. Jamie Bishop, 35. Lauren McCain, 20. Michael Poley Jr., 23. Maxine Turner, 22. Nicole White, 20. Livio Labrusco, 76. Jocelyn Couture Nowak, 49. Ross Alamadine, 20. Austin Cloyd, 18. Daniel Perez Cueva, 21. Caitlin Hammerin, 19. Rachel Hill, 18. Matthew Laporte, 20. Henry Lee, 20. Erin Peterson, 18. Mary Karen Reed, 19. Rima Samaha, 18. Leslie Sherman, 20. Kevin Granada, 45. Committed suicide by shooting himself the same day in the Wounded. Hostages released, didn't make the list, Murderpedia, and shot dead by police at 4:48 ET after the hostages made a run for freedom, Wikipedia, in the Wounded. Michael Grant Cahill, 62. Labardo Eduardo Caraveo, 52. Justin Michael DeCrow, 32. John P. Gaffney, 56. Frederick Green, 29. Jason Dean Hunt, 22. Amy Sue Kruger, 29. Aaron Thomas Namelka, 19. Michael S. Pearson, 22. Russell Gilbert Seeger, 51. Francesca Velez, 21. Juanita L. Warman, 55. Kam C. Shung, 23. Sentenced to death in the Wounded. Parveen Ali, 26. Almir Olympio Khalil, 53. Roberta King, 72. Zhang Ling, 22. Hong Shu Amy Mao Marsland, 35. Dolores Yigal, 53. Hai Hong Zong, 54. Maria Zabnu, 60. Committed suicide by shooting himself the same day in the Wounded. Tsering Rinzing Bhutia, age 38. Doris Shapuku, age 40. Sonam Shodan, age 33. Grace Eunhai Kim, age 23. Kathleen Ping, age 24. Judith Seymour, age 53. Lydia Sim, age 21. Didn't make the list, Murderpedia. Declared unfit to stand trial. We did it again, that other school shooting. J. Caspian Kang, New York Times Magazine, in the Wounded. Christopher K. Gortz, professor. Dwight R. Nicholson, chairman. Robert Allen Smith, assistant professor. Lin Hua Shan, a fellow graduate student. T. Ann Cleary, the assistant vice president for academic affairs. Committed suicide by shooting himself the same day in the Wounded. Anastasia Rebecca D'Souza, and committed suicide by shooting himself in the head the same day in the Wounded. Nakunan Saiz, 37, professor, and Galen Gibson, 18, student, and sentenced to 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole in the Wounded. Norman Wallace, and sentenced to life imprisonment without parole in the Wounded, charged with 2 counts of attempted murder in the Wounded. 10. Who survive? Blood on my troubling hands, leave me dry.
Thank you for sharing, Jing'an. That was powerful. All right, we'll shift gears now to fiction. And our first fiction writer for the evening will be Raquel Goodison.
Be a swimmer. It helps if you grow up on an island. Then you will be surrounded by water And if the island is small and poor enough, there will not be much to do and a lot of reasons to learn how to travel water with nothing but your arms to carry you. Be a little girl from a pretty poor family. Let the sun set your pale skin on fire and cause your mother to complain that you're too sensitive. She'll beg your father to take you to some place to cool off so that the heat rash will take a break from burning so much. She will tell him to take you to the only place they know for a girl like you. It is not the pool. Remember, you are poor and there is no pool anywhere around. It is not the bath, though you do have one in the bathtub in the small orange house you live in. Like the house, it is small and not enough to quench the fire that burns you from the inside out and the outside in. Maybe you'll begin to wonder, how come you were born in this skin? And how come you were born onto this place, and into this family, and onto this land? Have a dad who listens to his wife, your mother, more obediently than you do. He will pick you up like a bag of oranges. You are nothing in his large arms. You are thin and light. The biggest thing about you is the head of hair that grows like wildfire from your scalp. Even that seems not built for this place. Your dad will tousle this hair and say, "Come, we're going to the beach." Have a dad with a car. It will be the same car he's had since the year before you were born. He will think that it is also his baby. He will keep it well. He will keep you well. He will put you in the front seat beside him, and he will let you play with the radio station while his baby takes you and him to the beach, which is less than 15 minutes from your house. Even the radio stations will remind you that you are stuck on a small spit of land. He will turn the knob back and forth between Radio Jamaica and the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation. Then you will look out the window and think about when you will live someplace else. The ocean hems you in when you get there. Let your dad scoop you up while you are standing on the shore, scratching your itchy rash and feeling like there is no escape across that much endless sea. Let him use his giant arms and throw you like the light thing you are into the biggest stretch of anything you've ever seen. It will catch you and cover you and let you float to its surface. Relax, or it will drown you. Breathe easy, or it will snake into your lungs and choke you from the inside out. Let your arms and your legs float out like a starfish. You will feel like a part of the sun and like another drop in the ocean. Your skin will be relieved. Let it carry you on its own rhythms, but keep your eyes open. This is one way to travel on water and to begin to swim.
Thanks, Raquel. That was great. All right. Going back to poetry now, we'll have another poetry reader, Ama Kajo.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for everything. I'm going to read two poems. The first is titled Funeral Rites. My father uses 3 fingers to scoop jollof rice into the wet tent of his mouth. When he dies, we will wear crimson cloth. Some will stamp and flap, others will shriek like crows. I will stand like an oak in windless Chicago. Praise the dead in me that hangs like a yellowed resemblance across the face of my unborn son. See here, I will say, and point to Accra on a map. This is where your grandfather lived and ate red rice. And I will see the ocean that separated us and call it Atlantic, not daughter. He is already buried in my name, Ama of Kumasi, the Jill of Ghana, of Ashanti, born on Saturday, whose future son waits inside her, nose wide like a dragon's. See here, I will say, covering my eyes. The bottom half of your face is mine, is the nose I used to hate. What are the qualifications you need to love it? It is how my father breathes. The second poem starts with an epigraph by Joseph Thompson, who is a Scottish explorer. who traveled in Kenya and mapped the land and also named animals and places after him. And some of his work was, I guess, integral to the partitioning of Africa by the Europeans. The epigraph reads, "He who goes gently goes safely. He who goes safely goes far." Notes to an explorer. You aren't gentle, Joseph. Your compass is faulty. You name what already has a name. Call it a mountain when it is a throne. A waterfall becomes Thompson's. A gazelle, yours too. So when I see it stretch so far it leaps, I am supposed to think of you. Instead, I note how the air streaks white under the belly, how far I have come without safety. How last June a lover turned to me, naked beneath the sheets, smirked and said, I could never marry you. I can't even say your name. Joseph, you are addicted to naming, as if a snail needs a home other than its shell, as if a map is more real than memory. Joe, can I call you that? We are so intimate now. You try out of habit to pin me down, to chart me. But before you get carried away, let me tell you, even before yellow was yellow, the sun shone bright. I swear, I saw it. Thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing, Amma. All right, we'll have our second fiction reader of the evening now. It's Desiree Bailey.
Thank you. What we remember. We don't remember what the sun feels like. We can see it through the window pane of the living room in the morning when the curtains are pulled back. It warms the room, but we cannot remember how it felt when the sun licked our skin. There are many things we can't remember, or things that we remember only in a fog, the edges of images fading until we're not sure if they were ever really there. When we're bored, we quiz ourselves. How big was the shopping mall? Or remember the playground in the park, how all the girls begged you to teach them to double dutch, and they were mad when you said you never learned? And for a second, we can feel the asphalt beneath our sneakers and see the girls scowling in disbelief. We open our mouths to ask another question, but quickly close it when we hear the floorboards creak beneath mom's feet. The world comes to us through the TV. It's our eyes and ears. The TV brings us Jeopardy and hip-hop videos. It brings us the loud sounds of the outside, the rage of bridezillas and the crowds roaring during basketball games. It brings us old cowboy films, and on nights when we can get away with it, blonde chicks in bikinis with their asses pressed against the screen. The local news tells us a little bit about our town, like how last week a lady was attacked by a raccoon that snuck through her cat flap, and how our mayor is determined to keep the peace within our town by doing everything in his power to keep strange, suspicious people out. The world seems like such a funny place with its crazy rules and colors. What's even crazier is that most of the people don't really look like us, and the ones who do don't really feel like us. They are like our bodies and voices, but with something unfamiliar stuck inside. At least that's how it seems through the TV. Once in a while, Grandma comes into town to see us, but mainly to throw a fit with Mom. She spits out questions between her tears. Why don't you let them go outside? Look at their skin. I've never seen brown look so gray. Or, honey, you need help. Let me help you. The three of you can't go on like this. And Mom just stares out the window and shakes her head. Sometimes she says, I just can't trust the world with my babies. We like Grandma. She brings us clothes and CDs and all sorts of gifts, but we don't really like it when she comes. She stirs things up. She's the cause of all kinds of yelling, so loud that we can't hear our favorite shows. And after she leaves, Mom doesn't talk to us for weeks. She just looks at old photos of Dad with his low haircut and gap-toothed smile. She just looks and looks and looks. We try to block out her silence. We turn up the volume. We quiz ourselves. Do you remember the lake down by that old house? Or how soaked do your sneakers get when you run in the rain? We ask long questions and short questions until Mom breaks her silence with, "Quit that goddamn yapping," and she throws something heavy against her bedroom wall. And we try to block it out, but we are forced to remember how that man got scared when he saw our father's shoulders. The same shoulders he used to lift us on and spin us before he threw us into the backyard pool. How that man got scared when he saw our father rushing to pick us up from school. How that man got scared, pulled out his gun and pointed it at our father. How that man got scared and our father was not strong enough for what was in that gun. And we are forced to remember how our TV didn't say a thing.
Great, thanks for sharing, Desiree. All right, we'll end the evening with two poetry poets, and the first of which will be Aja Monet Baki.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. Thank you, Vivi and Greg, for stirring my voice and bringing out the I. This first poem is called Niggas in Paris. Yannick wants to devour me. He searches my last name for a bloodline, oversees my jerk. His eyes own me. He reaches for Toulouse in the dent of a curl, the bend over. My great-grandmother fights for her conquered body in a twirled strand. Or maybe she wanted the blanched animal thrusting atop her. My ringlets, the frizz, tangled jeans. L'homme brings me to Legibus in Republique, wears hip-hop, a costume. He imposes a hand on my lower back, whispers, "You're my little tenderoni," in my ear. Fall back. I'm lonely. We feed on whiskey, taste each other on the dance floor. I'm in his bed. I want to belong to someone, somewhere. We wrestle in the heat, howl, halt. He tours the fields of skin, fixated on the hull, black as art, nothing more, a fetish. I am a statue. He doesn't call. I'll forget his name. This next poem is called Birthmark. When I think I am not my mother's child, my mouth betrays me. I carry her "fuck you" flung at my face, a knuckle in my cheekbone. I spit out fingers. She gave me a crescent scar, swung a wire hanger across. I should have had the abortion your low-life father wanted. Drags me by my ragdoll heart each time. Passes a palm down her stomach, lifts her shirt above the waist, yells, "Look at me, look at the damage." I came into this world a stain, a stone, a C-section, the soft terror fleshed out of her body. I could have stayed in there forever, stretched her skin into translucence, my window seat to pastoral weeping. I left her underbelly glistening, the welt of a wound worn, withdrawn, shrinking into. I watched her smear cocoa butter above her hips, hands pulsing of vines along the groove of strias, tending the umber lightning bolts in the rhythm of pouring. of my being here. I am the sort of animal that needs to be held, ruins the hold, tears the body apart limb by limb, satin strands of skin ripped open, suffer, shame, sacrifice hum in the head as if heirloom or honor or hurt. A vexed tongue can be a pistol. A loaded barrel of insults can be ears bleeding. A testimony of regret unborns you, ungrateful piece of shit. When they were two bodies laid together, heaving each other's breath, did my parents pause to make me? I want to hunt down the second just before and live in the I love you of the quiver. Was it rapture or mere spasm? Did they pray? Did they exhale? Did they say amen? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Aja. All right, our last reader for the evening will be Jeremy Clark.
Thank you. This first poem is called A Mother's Hum. When I wake, I have been screaming at the night, the moon's dimpled face upon me. Beneath it, apartments stacked like layers of sediment, each pressured from above and below. In the window parallel to mine, I see a young, sun-blushed face, a mother's hands in her hair. Her eyes implore as if to say, please mend me. Irvin's tenor sax rains down the walls. Every night he plays Goodbye, Pork Pie Hat. His fingers hooked in concentration like monks hunched over a sacred text. Impelled by his mournful tone, I remain upright. Tears thunder down my cheeks as I mutter my mother's name. Nights I couldn't sleep, so fearful young, she sat on my bedside, sang in whispers as her fingertip caressed my temple, then my scalp, detangling my tired ends. Long after the girl has gone to sleep, in darkness I remain awake. Though I can't discern the notes, I know my mother's hum is here in the curtain's heave, the traffic's murmur passing below. Her dimmed notes comb beneath my ribs like a faint finger in a dense curl. The second poem is called Just Missed You. You don't know my numerous addresses. I, a ghost before you. Imagine that door never opens, how hard your eyes pin questions to my chest. When you arrive, I want to hold you. You'll be broken. Days melt quick, blend to weeks, how I slipped silent out. I can teach you how to leave. If you ever change your mind, search the contours of my face for an apology. Pay attention. A solitary heart is no heart at all. A knotted desire to know claimed a body. And now what? My face presses for answers. You bind my spine, and I want to hold you responsible. I realize now you ain't even gonna show up. Should have seen the front and out line, these questions about leaving me behind for relief. I'll be waiting, stubborn, secret, so retrievable, but you have to turn around. You don't know a knotted desire, my numerous addresses, to know I, a ghost before you claimed a body. Imagine that door never opens, and now what? How hard my face presses your eyes for answers. pin questions to my chest. You bind my spine, and when you arrive, I want to hold you. You'll be broken, responsible. Days melt quick, blend to weeks. I realize now you ain't even gonna show up. Should have seen how I slipped silent out the front. I can teach you how to leave an outline. These questions, if you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, search the contours of my face for relief. I'll be waiting for an apology. Stubborn, secret. So pay attention. A solitary heart is retrievable, but you have no heart at all to turn around. Thank you.
Well, that concludes tonight's reading. Can we give our readers another round of applause? Excellent work, everyone. So on behalf of Callaloo, I'd again like to thank the Department of Africana Studies here at Brown University. And that includes Renee Neely for all of her coordination leading up to this week. And also Kathy Moyer for helping us set up for this program. And of course, we'd like to give another round of applause to our workshop leaders. We appreciate all your guidance and hard work this week. All right. All right, so all right, our closing reception will follow. We thank everyone, our participants and people from the department and attendees for coming tonight. And we wish everyone safe journeys home. It was so good to meet each and every one of you and work with you this week, so thank you.